John Gladstone was the backbone of, he was the reason we all started and why 3 doctors did, because they read his very good scientific paper about being such a good area to plant, and so it appealed to them all. They probably all like wine too, I guess, and in fact I know they did. So John really had an enormous influence with his original research in 1965.
The first was Vas Felix, and we're only a couple of years after that, but this was originally 70 acres, of which 40 acres were deemed to be plantable. So that was the beginning, 40 acres.
The first vines were planted in 1967 in the area, and the older vines are now producing their best fruit. They're sort of around 30 years old, and that's quite exciting. Bill Jamieson, of course, was terribly important and not recognised enough, because he was the one who spent all his weekends coming down. He used to come down and advise us, because none of us knew anything about it, and we all owe a great debt to Bill, really.
We made our own wines. We started in a small shed, which is still part of the big complex, and in fact I think if you look around the winery you can see quite clearly that this is one that's grown from very small beginnings.
The early producers aspired to make great wine, so they planted in what they considered to be great wine sites, and I think the proof has been in the pudding.
Cape Mentels 2 Jimmy Watson trophies woke a lot of people up, and even in the early days ourselves and Mosswood and Vas Felix all got golds in the international wine shows. Everybody was saying, Margaret River, where in the blazes is that?
The Margaret River area is one of the few areas in Australia that's been selected based on climate, which is perhaps the most important criteria for growing good quality grapes.
Most of the original vineyards are planted on what's called the forest growth soil, which is a topsoil of sand, gravelly sand and laterite, going onto a laterite subsoil and then onto clay.
The maritime climate here, and remember Australia's a very big land mass at a low latitude with a very large desert. And here we are on the perimeter of it, on the real margin, accepting that the first use of the breeze off the ocean. And that's what really is holding it together for us.
Because we don't have a lot of summer rainfall, and because we're close to the ocean and a maritime sort of climate, we don't have a lot of variation in climate from year to year. And because the climate is consistent, this then keeps giving us year in, year out high quality.
I think one can make a very big distinction between the flavours that are developed in this area and the flavours that you get in other parts of Australia. And the differences are based on temperature. It's a bit like a viticultural paradise, if you like, that's got heaps of scope. Enormous scope for different varieties, because it doesn't matter whether it's early or late, you get very kind ripening conditions.
There are sites that are quite specific to varieties, and I think we try to maximise what we'd call wines of a particular location. So our wines are really vineyard oriented.
Why is this vineyard plot better than the one over there or the one over there? We've got 20 vintages of Chardonnay. We've got 2 blocks that are producing very well. Block 20 is always Art Series. I mean, it's the best block that we have.
Semillon in Margaret River is probably the most full-flavoured Semillon we get from any part of the country. So we've got the option of making unoaked styles or making fully oaked styles. Both styles of Margaret River are legitimate styles and very nice wines to drink.
The Margaret River vital, fresh, fruity style, I don't I'm not familiar or aware of any other area in the world that blends the two grape varieties with such spectacular results.
We've already seen the Semillon Sauvignon Blanc styles taking off as a blend. I think the Semillon will come with it.
The area grows grapes with enormous and robust fruit flavours, and those two blends just seem to be really synergistic. You get the really ripe attractiveness of the Sauvignon Blanc and then the tightness of the palate from the Semillon. And the two just blended together, you seem to get such a perfect balance.
With Chardonnay, you tend to get either the oak style or the unoaked. With Semillon, you can get real grassy Semillons, or you can get the old aged Kerosene ones from the Hunter.
It's just such a suitable area for Cabernet Sauvignon, the flavours and the tannin. Right from the outset, the wines have won awards all around the world.
I think we excel in varieties that really the whole region is excelling in, and the most significant would be Cabernet, but blends of Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc, and in more recent years Shiraz has been one of our very successful wines.
We're seeing brilliant Shiraz coming out of Carrydale, which is a real surprise because Shiraz is a variety that's magnificent in hot climates. Lots of tannin, heaps of colour, black wines, intense wines, but so much flavour.
I think Margaret River is another great Cabernet Sauvignon and blends of. You've got the Merlot, Cabernet Franc and the traditional varieties of Bordeaux, which seem to grow very well here.
There's enough people who really care about making good wines and have a passion for it. I think that'll only be good.
Margaret River's been exporting wine for the best part of 10 years, and we do have an international reputation. It seems to be growing all the time.
So many people are spending so much money, I guess. But as long as they keep the quality, I mean, we've got to think of quality.
Quality is the name of the game, and if people, large or small, are interested in doing that, whatever happens to be their preferred price point of selling their wines, that is fostered no matter the size of the operation.
There's innovations that have come into the district that have gained in canopy management, regards to like wires, wire lifting, pruning, harvesting. Basically any operation that you can think of in the viticultural industry has been helped in a quality-based product. We need to be different, and I think have shown that in the way that our technology has increased, and we actually export technologies to other countries now.
The main thing is that we capture the in-town crowd. When they come into our centre there, we suddenly make them very much aware that they're in one of the premium wine growing areas in the world. With some 78 labels on display of local wineries in the region, they can't help but get the feel that they're right in the middle of things. We can offer to visitors to the centre some education in the form of a wine tasting, certainly some information about the varietals such as Chardonnay or Cabernet, so they then can really go out to the vineyards with a little bit of basic knowledge, which I think is very helpful for them when they start to do their wine tastings. The wine industry is very reliant on cellar door sales. What it does is offer a unique experience to the visitor. People coming into cellar door have the opportunity to taste the wines, to buy the wines, and also quite often to get to speak to people that either have made the wine or are very closely related to that particular cellar door.
Because it's such a pollution-free area and such a lovely area, everything adds up together.
You know, the region's being opened up for people to build, to relocate from wherever, and I think that the primary industry that is going to be required to take up some employment is both wine and tourism.
Lure and Chardonnay and their concerts, I mean, they've done a tremendous amount. They're memorable achievements.
A wine should reflect, first of all, the region in which it's grown, with a clear individuality which comes from our, I guess, our passion for wine.
As with any region, sometimes just going around the other side of the hill gives you a different level of quality because the slopes tend to give you better fruit, flavours and complexity.
There's no doubt when I think of the wine style, I sort of think of Margaret River, I think of the vitality, the life, the freshness, the blue skies, the white sands, the beach, the forests, and I just think of those styles of wines as Margaret River in a bottle. They're just fantastic drinking, they're vibrant, they're fresh, they're full of flavour, they're suited to everyday drinking and even slipping into the evening a little as well.